Now, like everything we invent, what matters is intent. Law has been used for good and evil. Always remember this inexcusable fact. Everything that Hitler did in Germany was illegal. Hey, what are you doing? You can't do that. It's against the law. The law, the law, the law. It's a word that we hear used all the time. And it's also a word that at a fundamental level is often misunderstood. When most people think of law, they think of the rules that government make. They think of legislation. And while it's totally understandable to think that, legislation is only a type of law called statutory law. Legislation is not law in and of itself. Legislation is the body of written rules to govern society, given the force of law. Consider this. When legislation is challenged in court and a judge rules it to be unconstitutional, the ruling removes the force of law from the statute, and it just becomes a powerless piece of paper. Some may be thinking now, oh, I know, law must be the courts then. When judges make rulings and issue court orders, that is law, right? It's called case law. This must be the law. Well, just like legislation, case law is a type of law. And like legislation, without enforcement, a court ruling would simply be a judge barking orders with no bite. So, if law is not legislation or case law, what is it? What is law? On the most fundamental level, law is force. The force to intervene, the force to stop an action, the force to start an action, the force to take someone's property, the force to take someone's liberty, the force to take someone's life. This is no joke. Law is serious. Force is serious. And without force, law is, well, nothing. So, what is force? The Black's Law Dictionary defines force as power, violence, or pressure directed against a person or thing. How does law get this force? Some may think it's the Constitution, and some may think it's the police. It is neither of those. Law gets its force from us. More specifically, law derives its force from our individual right to self-defense. Put another way, law is the organized collection of each individual's right to use force. Since the individual has the right to self-defense, then a group of individuals joined in mutual, voluntary consent have the right to form a common defense to protect their rights constantly. This is law. Everything we invent, be it a tool or an organization, derives its relevance, its power from us. Law is not exempt from this fact. Law is conceived by us. It's formed from a conscious connection to morality, what is right and what is wrong. Law can only derive its force from us. But why then is the force derived from our right to self-defense? To answer this, let's revisit force. Force is the power, violence, or pressure directed against a person or a thing. We've all been taught as children that it's wrong to use force in aggression. You can't take Timmy's ice cream without his permission, without his consent. That would be theft, an unjust use of force. What then is the just way, the right way of using force? In defense. Defense of our life, defense of our liberty, defense of our property, defense of our ice cream. The only just use of force is in defense. And if the law itself is to be just, law must be held to the same moral standard. Law can only be just if it's used in defense of life, liberty, and property, if it's a force to protect our rights. So now when you think of law, think force. When you think of force, think just or unjust. Fundamentally, law is force. Now, like everything we invent, what matters is intent. Law has been used for good and evil. Always remember this inexcusable fact. Everything that Hitler did in Germany was illegal. Throughout history and even into the present day, legislation is enacted without your say. Politicians leverage your delegated power, and this power that they use is too often abused. Since absolute power corrupts absolutely, individuals must absolutely reclaim their power if we want to make corruption history. It's time to know the law. Thanks for stopping by and checking out our video today. We've covered a complex topic in a simple way. What are some of your thoughts? What are some of your takeaways? We'd definitely love to know. Post them up in the comments below. While you're there, make sure to hit up that sweet like button if you value what was shared here today. And of course, absolutely, a special thanks goes out to our patrons who help make this video possible. We absolutely love you, and we are so grateful for your support.